I don't know how to explain this. It was never intended for me to know that Janelle was...
Kody's hidden deal exposed. Stop everything you're doing right now. What I'm about to tell you will completely change how you watch Sister Wives. Multiple crew members have just come forward with explosive allegations about a secret deal between Kody Brown and TLC producers that's been hidden from viewers for years. We're talking contract clauses, manipulated storylines, and payments that were allegedly kept from the other wives. And here's the kicker. This might explain everything we've seen fall apart in the Brown family. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at this show the same way again. What's up, Sister Wives fans? If you're anything like me, you've been watching the show spiral into absolute chaos over the past few seasons, and you've probably asked yourself 100 times, how did we get here? Well, buckle up, because anonymous sources from inside the production crew have allegedly started talking, and what they're revealing about Kody Brown's relationship with TLC might just blow this whole thing wide open. Now, before we dive deep into this scandal, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story is developing fast and you're not going to want to miss any updates. And drop a comment below telling me which wife you think knew about this alleged deal. I'm reading every single one. Okay, so let's start with what these crew members are allegedly claiming. According to multiple anonymous sources who have worked on Sister Wives over the years, Kody Brown allegedly negotiated a separate, private agreement with TLC producers that gave him certain privileges and protections that the wives supposedly weren't fully aware of. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, don't they all have contracts? Yes, they do. But here's where it gets interesting. These sources claim that Kody's contract allegedly contained specific clauses that gave him more control over: 1. Editorial input on how he was portrayed in episodes. 2. Veto power over certain storylines involving his relationships. 3. A separate payment structure that allegedly wasn't equally distributed. 4. The ability to approve or reject specific scenes before they aired. And here's the tea that's really got people talking. Allegedly, Kody was able to negotiate these terms because he positioned himself as the central character and argued that without him, there is no show. The sources claim he leveraged this position during contract renewals, especially as the show became more successful. The payment allegations now, let's talk money, because this is where things get really controversial. According to these alleged crew member revelations, the financial arrangement for Sister Wives was supposedly not as equal as viewers might have assumed. Here's what's being claimed. While all the adults in the family received compensation for appearing on the show, Kody allegedly had a separate deal that included additional payments for producer credits, consultation fees, and what some sources are calling participation bonuses that were supposedly tied to ratings and renewals. Think about that for a second. If these allegations are true, that means while Christine, Janelle, Meri, and Robyn were all getting paid for their appearances, Kody was potentially pulling in additional income streams that they may not have had full transparency about. And get this, one source allegedly claimed that during contract negotiations in recent years, there were heated discussions behind the scenes about payment equity, with some of the wives pushing for more transparent financial arrangements. Does this timeline sound familiar? Because it coincides almost perfectly with when we started seeing major cracks in the family dynamics on camera. Here's where this alleged scandal gets even more twisted. According to these crew sources, Kody supposedly had significant influence over which storylines got prioritized in editing and which ones got downplayed or cut entirely. Several production insiders allegedly claim that there were multiple instances where conflict between Kody and certain wives was toned down at his request, while drama that made him look like the peacekeeper or a struggling patriarch was supposedly amplified. Let me paint you a picture of what this allegedly looked like in practice. When Christine started expressing serious doubts about the marriage years before she actually left, sources claim there was much more footage of her frustrations and Kody's dismissive responses than what actually made it to air. Why? Allegedly, because Kody pushed back against looking like the bad guy in that narrative. When Janelle began pulling away and spending more time in her RV, sources suggest there were multiple conversations between Janelle and producers where she expressed feeling financially taken advantage of, but these scenes allegedly never saw the light of day. And with Meri, the catfishing scandal was obviously huge and made it to the show. But crew members allegedly claim that Kody's cruel treatment of Meri after the scandal was far worse than what viewers saw. Apparently, producers had to navigate carefully because Kody allegedly threatened to limit his participation if he was shown being too harsh toward Meri. We absolutely cannot talk about this alleged scandal without addressing Robyn, because here's where the conspiracy theories start making a lot more sense. For years, viewers have suspected that Robyn gets preferential treatment both from Kody and in the edit. Well, according to these crew sources, there might have been a very specific reason for that. The allegation suggests that as part of Kody's supposed deal with producers, he allegedly insisted on certain protections for Robyn's image. This supposedly included limiting footage that showed clear favoritism toward Robyn in ways that made Kody look bad, downplaying scenes where the other wives directly confronted Robyn about her privileged position, ensuring that Robyn's financial situation and the resources devoted to her household weren't fully explored on camera. One particularly explosive allegation claims that during the COVID-19 pandemic season, there was significantly more footage of Kody's ridiculous rules and how they were specifically designed to keep him isolated with Robyn. But much of this was allegedly cut at Kody's insistence because it made his favoritism too obvious. If this is true, it means that what we saw during those COVID episodes was the toned-down version. Let that sink in. Why crew members are allegedly speaking out now, so why are these production crew members supposedly coming forward now? Well, there are a few theories circulating. First, the show is clearly in a different place than it was even 2 years ago. With Christine gone, Janelle essentially done, and Meri finally cutting ties, the original premise of Sister Wives is completely shattered. Some sources suggest that crew members who have moved on to other projects feel less bound by NDAs or loyalty to a show that's fundamentally changed. Second, there's allegedly growing frustration among production staff about how the breakdown of the family has been handled. Multiple sources supposedly feel that if viewers knew about Kody's alleged behind-the-scenes control, they would better understand why the family dynamics played out the way they did, and why the wives seemed to accept certain situations for so long. Third, and this is perhaps the most compelling reason, some crew members allegedly feel that the wives, particularly Christine and Janelle, deserve for the full truth to come out. These sources supposedly believe that Kody's alleged manipulation extended beyond just the family relationships into the very fabric of how the show was produced and presented. How this allegedly affected each wife. Let's break down how these alleged arrangements supposedly impacted each wife individually, because the implications are massive. Meri, if these allegations are true, Meri's tragic arc makes even more sense. Imagine being in a marriage where you're already being rejected and humiliated, and then discovering that your husband has been controlling the narrative of your life on television and potentially benefiting financially in ways you weren't fully aware of. The catfishing incident was devastating enough, but if Meri later learned about these alleged secret deals, it adds a whole new layer to why she stuck around as long as she did, and why she eventually left. Janelle has always been the most financially pragmatic of the wives, and she's been increasingly vocal about feeling taken advantage of. If these crew allegations are accurate, imagine how Janelle would feel discovering that while she was the one managing family finances and making sacrifices, Kody was allegedly pulling in separate income and having more say in the business of the show. This could explain her complete emotional detachment from Kody in recent seasons. Christine has been the most open about feeling gaslit and manipulated during her marriage. If she discovered that this manipulation allegedly extended to how the show portrayed her struggles, how storylines were edited to make Kody look better, and how financial arrangements weren't fully transparent, it would explain her fury and her complete unwillingness to have any relationship with Kody post-divorce. Christine's freedom now takes on an even more powerful meaning. Robyn, this is where it gets complicated. If Robyn knew about Kody's alleged deals, and specifically about protections for her image, that makes her complicity in the family dynamics much more calculated. However, if she didn't know the full extent of these arrangements, she might have been used as a pawn in Kody's alleged negotiations. Either way, it doesn't look good for Robyn. What TLC is allegedly saying now, you're probably wondering, what is TLC saying about all of this? Well, officially, the network hasn't commented on these specific allegations. And honestly, They probably won't unless this story gets picked up by major media outlets. But here's what's interesting. According to these same crew sources, TLC executives allegedly knew about Kody's separate arrangements because they approved them. The network supposedly justified these decisions by pointing to Kody's role as the anchor of the show and arguing that keeping him happy was essential to the show's continuation. However, some sources claim there's been growing concern at TLC about how these arrangements might look if they became public, especially given the current cultural conversation about fairness, equality, and how reality TV participants are treated. There are also whispers that as the show's ratings have declined and the family has fractured, TLC has been less willing to accommodate Kody's alleged demands, which might explain why recent seasons have shown him in an increasingly negative light. The evidence question now. Let's address the elephant in the room. What actual evidence exists for these allegations? As of right now, everything is supposedly coming from anonymous crew members, which means we don't have contracts, emails, or recorded conversations to verify these claims. This is important to note because while these allegations are serious and explosive, they're still allegations. However, there are several things that give these claims more weight. 1. Multiple sources are allegedly telling similar stories independently too. The timeline of these alleged deals aligns with observable changes in the show's dynamics. 3. Financial patterns and lifestyle differences among the wives that viewers have noticed for years would make more sense in this context. 4. Kody's behavior and level of control within the family has always seemed disproportionate, even for a patriarchal plural marriage. Several sister wives fan communities and bloggers who have connections to the production world are supposedly trying to verify these claims, and there's speculation that more concrete evidence could emerge if crew members are willing to go on the record. The Sister Wives fan community is absolutely exploding over these allegations, and honestly, the theories people are developing are fascinating. Many longtime viewers are saying this alleged scandal explains so many things they've questioned over the years. Why Kody always seemed to have the final say on major decisions, why financial transparency was always murky on the show, why certain conflicts seemed to disappear without resolution, why Robyn's house, her kids' needs, and her concerns always took priority, why the other wives seemed to accept situations that looked completely unfair to viewers. Some fans are going back and rewatching old episodes with this new alleged information in mind, and they're claiming to see patterns they missed before. For instance, several viewers have pointed out that in talking head interviews, Kody often seems to be the one directing the narrative or shutting down lines of questioning, which could allegedly support the claims about his editorial control. There's also a growing movement of fans demanding that Christine, Janelle, and Meri address these allegations if they're comfortable doing so. Many viewers feel that if the wives were operating without full knowledge of these alleged arrangements, they deserve to tell their side of the story. Let's talk about the potential legal and ethical implications if these allegations are proven true, because they're significant. From a legal standpoint, if Kody had separate financial arrangements that he didn't fully disclose to his partners, particularly in situations where they were supposedly operating as a family unit with shared resources, there could be grounds for legal action. Remember, Kody is only legally married to Robyn, but the other wives were in committed partnerships where financial resources were allegedly pooled. From an ethical standpoint, this raises serious questions about how reality TV participants are treated. If producers allowed one family member to have significantly more control and better financial terms than others, that's a power imbalance that could be seen as exploitative, especially in a plural marriage dynamic where power imbalances already exist. There are also questions about informed consent. If the wives appeared on the show without full knowledge of how editorial decisions were being made or how financial arrangements were structured, were they able to give truly informed consent to their participation? Several reality TV experts and media ethics commentators have weighed in on these allegations, with some calling for more transparency in reality TV contracts and others suggesting that if proven true, this could set a precedent for other reality TV families to examine their own arrangements. If these allegations are accurate, we need to completely reframe how we understand the entire Sister Wives story. This isn't just a tale of a polygamous family struggling with jealousy and modern challenges. It's allegedly a story of one person having disproportionate power, not just within the family structure, but within the very medium that was documenting their lives. Think about every major moment of the show through this lens. The move to Las Vegas. Was that really a family decision, or was it allegedly influenced by Kody's ability to control the storyline? The move to Flagstaff. Same question, but with even higher stakes. The Coyote Pass property saga. If Kody had more financial resources than the wives knew about, does that change our understanding of who could afford what and when? The way conflicts were resolved or not resolved. If Kody could allegedly influence what made it to air, did the wives ever really have a fair platform to express their grievances? The COVID rules debacle. If the favoritism toward Robyn was allegedly even more obvious in unaired footage. This becomes less about differing opinions on safety and more about Kody using a pandemic as cover for his true priorities. So where do we go from here? There are several possible scenarios. These allegations gain more traction, more crew members come forward, possibly on the record, and TLC is forced to address the situation. This could lead to revelations in upcoming episodes, a tell-all special, or even legal action from the former wives. TLC and Kody shut this down through NDAs and legal threats. The story stays in the fan community and gossip blogs, and we never get official confirmation. The show continues with its remaining cast members, and these allegations become part of Sister Wives lore. One or more of the wives, my money's on Christine, speaks out about these allegations, either confirming them or providing additional context. This could open the floodgates for a much bigger conversation about the show, the family, and what really happened behind the scenes. This scandal becomes big enough that it affects the show's future entirely. TLC could decide to cancel Sister Wives or pivot to a new format that focuses solely on the women rebuilding their lives without Kody. Here's what I think, and I want you to sound off in the comments with your take. If these allegations are true, even partially true, it recontextualizes everything we've watched over the past decade and a half. It means the wives were operating in a system that was rigged against them from the start, not just by polygamy and patriarchy, but by the very show that was supposed to be documenting their lives. It means Christine's escape was even braver than we thought. It means Janelle's withdrawal was even more justified. It means Meri's years of limbo were even more tragic. And it means Robyn's position in the family might have been even more complicated than viewers suspected. But here's the thing that really gets me. If Kody Brown allegedly manipulated not just his wives, but the entire production of a television show to benefit himself, what does that say about the man we've been watching all these years? Is anything we've seen real? Or has it all been carefully curated through an alleged deal that gave him more power than anyone realized? The Sister Wives story has always been about family, faith, and the challenges of plural marriage. But if these crew allegations are accurate, it's also a story about power, control, manipulation, and what happens when one person allegedly has the ability to control not just the family narrative, but the television narrative as well. I'll be following this story closely and updating you the moment any new information drops. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on because this is not going away. Drop a comment and tell me, do you believe these allegations? Which wife do you think knew what? What do you want to see happen next? And if you made it to the end of this video, drop a eyes emoji in the comments so I know you're here for all the tea. Until next time, keep watching, keep questioning, and remember, in reality TV, the real story might be the one they're not showing you.